Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan. I'm your hostess. Welcome to my kitchen. And we have 2 cases of tomatoes. From the Amish community that we are going to get prepared to can. And today I am just going to be getting these peels off and getting all these tomatoes crushed. So we have 2 full cases of tomatoes to do today, y'all. I'm going to get through the first box with you, and then I'm going to go on and continue working on tomatoes for however long it takes and get them all crushed. And y'all will see the crushing part of it, and you will see the canning part of it in tomorrow's video. So with that said, let's get busy. My first step is going to be to fill this big bowl. And this bowl is a Kimco bowl made in Korea. It's a 13-quart bowl. We're going to fill all our tomatoes up in this. We're going to get them washed. And my second bowl is a ball wrath stainless steel bowl made in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, USA. And I'm going to put my prepared tomatoes or my peeled tomatoes in this. I need 2 more containers. I need a container for my saved skins, and I'm going to need a container for the stem part to come out of my tomatoes, because that gets fed to the chickens. Nothing gets wasted on these. And I will need at least 4 to 6 gallon buckets to hold all my tomatoes. And that will go back into the refrigerator once they are pureed. I will get them back into the refrigerator with some citric acid in them so that that step will be taken care of before I process them tomorrow. Now these tomatoes are not perfect. There's some that have blemishes on it that look like it had bloom rot. All those spots will get cut out, and that will get fed to the chickens as well. But we're going to get these tomatoes taken care of, because we don't want to let them sit too long without processing. We actually picked these up on a Saturday down in Amish country, and had to go to a couple of different Amish farms to actually get the 2 cases that I needed to do this, because I want a lot of crushed tomatoes in my pantry. I do have some crushed tomatoes that I did last year, but when I make homemade chili or homemade spaghetti sauce that's not already canned, I want to be able to go into my pantry and grab jars off my pantry shelf to make my fresh sauces. Y'all, this is a lot of tomatoes in this first box. There's all different sizes and varieties. I may take out a few out of the second box and save them for slicing. I'm still pulling them out. I didn't even bother to count to see how many I had. And I'm just going to get these rinsed real good. Once these are rinsed, we will begin to get the peels off of them. And I'll show you how to do that in this video. Okay, y'all, I've got the fans going in the house. It is hot in here already. I made sure all my vents were open. I am not going to be canning these today. They will be done tomorrow, and we are going to get this process started, but I'm going to show you. I've got a couple of them where they had bloom rot at the top, and I just slice alongside that. Sometimes you can slice through that, but you want an X on the top of your tomatoes. And I have a lot to go through. Here's another one that's got bloom rot at the top. There's nothing wrong with the tomato itself, but I'm just going to slice alongside of that. That part will get cut out. I've got a few of them like that. And I just slice very, very slightly into the tomato. You don't want to pierce it too much. You just want that skin to be able to come off. So I'm just actually not even going down 1/16 of an inch into the tomato itself. And you want that nice X, because that's how your skins are going to come away from the actual tomato. Some of these are not quite as ripe as I would like them to be. That's okay, as long as they're not green. As long as they've got color on them, they're good. I have another recipe where I have several recipes actually where I use the green tomatoes. Green tomatoes being that they're slightly pink. They are not ripe, but they're just beginning to start to ripen. This one's got a soft spot over here, or a bruised spot. It will more than likely be okay. This one was kind of hard to tell which side, but this is the root, where the bloom rot is. We've had such a hot summer so far, and our tomatoes, the ones that we planted, I'm getting blooms. I've got a couple of really tiny tomatoes. I pulled one off yesterday that the worms got to and fed it to the chickens, but we're getting a lot of blooms but no tomatoes. So I don't know if we're going to get anything out of our tomatoes this year or not, so this is why we're going and buying tomatoes as we can so that I can get them put up and know that we're going to have plenty of food to eat this winter. Tomatoes have so many good things for you. One of them being that they fight cancer, or they're anti-cancer. Something in the tomatoes that helps people not get cancer, or not as severe a cancer. We're going to sit here and just go through these real quick while my water's heating up. It only takes a second to do these. See, this is the one that's got the big bloom right on the top. I'm just going to go down here on the side a little bit. Somebody must be talking about me because my ear is itching. Oh well, they can talk. We're over halfway through these. So this should not take me too awfully long. The hardest part of this is probably going to be crushing the tomatoes, because I'm going to have to do several batches in my food processor. I actually have 2 food processors. One of them does not have a gasket on it at the top, so if I put any liquids in it, the liquids go everywhere. The other one actually has a gasket at the top, which is the one that I prefer. The one without the gasket is an older version, an older food processor, and I keep it on hand, and I usually do a lot of dry goods and stuff with that canner, that food processor. That one's got a little wormhole in it. We'll have to check that tomato when we go to cut it up. Most of these tomatoes look very good. This looks like an Amish paste tomato right there. You see the shape of it? Amish paste tomatoes weigh about 8 ounces. They're a really good tomato. I'm trying to grow some in my garden. I hope I get some out of it, because I'd love to be able to put up tomato paste, tomato puree, and stuff like that to have on hand, because we use a lot of tomatoes in this household. Okay, I've got them all X'd. That's the last one. I don't know if you can see the X on it, or there it is. I'm going to dump my water and rinse my bowl out. This bowl is serving a double duty. We're going to get this bowl filled up, and I'm going to get some ice trace pop, and we will be back. Okay, I've got my water over here. It's getting hot, and it's almost at a boil. I'm just going to go ahead and drop my tomatoes in here. Now, I let these sit in this hot water for 2 to 3 minutes, or until the peel starts pulling away. And I'll show you what that looks like. I've got my larger pot out so I can put a lot more tomatoes in it today, because I do have a lot to work through, so I want to get as many done at once as I possibly can. And I'm going to pan you up so you can actually see me and not the bowl of ice. There I am. So these will sit in here for about 2 to 3 minutes until the skin starts pulling away. And I've got my wide spoon that I can use, or I can use this to pull them out with. I prefer this. I've used both in the past. This just seems to hold on to the tomatoes better. And I really like these new tongs because of the slide pull that closes them up. I've got several pairs of these. This is something I would recommend every canner to get or invest in, is at least one good pair of tongs in the kitchen, some slotted spoons, some soup ladles. Is really good to have in a canning kitchen. You want something to debubble with. You don't have to have a debubbler. You can use the end of a wooden spoon. You could use the end of a wooden spoon, or you could use the end of a spatula like this. Not necessarily a wooden one, but any spatula like this. Anything that's narrow. I've seen people use butter knives. I would not use a butter knife myself because you're putting metal into your jar. But I mean, you could use a number of things if you don't have a debubbler. You could even use, you know, this plastic knife to go in and debubble with. Other tools that I would suggest would be making the investment of getting a food saver, especially if you're going to can dry goods, because you can use their attachment, and make sure it has the accessory attachment on your food saver first. You buy these separate, and they come in silicone now too. It has a little silicone gasket inside. fits over the top of the jar, and I just hold it down on the jar as it's sucking all the air out, and my food is preserved. So that's another item I would use. I would suggest some kind of good pot holders or these little duck bills to protect your hands when you're handling the pots, especially if you're carrying a pot from the stove to your counter, or in my case to my sink. You want to be able to protect your hands. We're going to check these and see if the skin's starting to pull away. Woo! Hot. Nope. That's the reason I got my apron on, y'all, to protect me a little bit. Other canning tools that I would suggest would be a jar lifter. This one you put around the jar, and so you can tighten your lids, and it holds the hot jar for you. I would suggest this little lid lifter that's got the magnetic end on it, and it can also be used as a debubbler. And of course you want some kind of funnel so that you don't get food all over your jars and your counter and you and everywhere else. So those are just some of the basic tools that I use. And of course you're going to need your jars, your lids, and your rings if you're canning. You're going to need a water bath canner. If you're doing, like, these crushed tomatoes can be done in a water bath canner. Not all tomato products can be done in a water bath canner. My spaghetti sauce, for instance, had to be pressure canned. You follow the recipe, and the recipe will tell you what method that you're using, because you want to safe can everything that you can. And if you're going to pressure can, you're going to need a good quality pressure canner. The cheapest one out on the market right now is the Presto canner. There's a few coming over from overseas that are off-brand, and I'm hearing mixed reviews on those. So I would go with the Presto or a Tefal or the American canner, the American pressure canner, which is the most expensive of all the canners. My canner was a mid-range on price. I was looking for a stainless steel canner, which is extremely high and hard to get, and so I ended up with my Tefal canner, which is cast aluminum on the inside, but it is stainless steel on the outside. So those are some of the tips for that. About pressure canners, this is the Tefal lid. This comes off, that little white dot there. You put it on that and it slides off. I have a gasket inside that comes out. There's the gasket. And you can order extra gaskets. It has a gauge on it to tell you the PSI, or the pressure. And you would look through the peephole right here, and you would look through it and see if you see light. If you don't see light, you need to clean that. Now on this Tefal, you would put your turn gauge, the dot to dot, and you would set it to steam. And I do that every time I clean my pots. I check everything, and I have it automatically set to steam. Now once you let it steam for 10 minutes, you can set your dial to your altitude pressure. My pressure is 10 pounds of pressure, so I would turn the dial to 2. 3 would be 15 pounds of pressure, and of course 1 would be 5 pounds of pressure. And my gauge does not work correctly. You'll hear me talk about this on every video. I go by this dial, And then I check this to make sure that it is between the 9 and the 10 because it doesn't get up to the 10. I think it was damaged when it was shipped. We're going to check these tomatoes because I see some splits. Y'all see that? That's what you're wanting. You're wanting a good split on your skin, so when you dip them in the ice bath stops the cooking process and cools the tomatoes down so that you can handle them. But they have really good splits on these. I actually let these go a little bit longer than I probably should have. And I would also suggest you invest in a good sized stock pot. That's the one thing that I have not invested in yet. And I keep looking at the prices and I'm hoping the prices will go down. Or that I might find a good one at a yard sale or a thrift store. Because I am very frugal. I believe that we should not waste anything that we don't have to. Now, because my water is hot, I'm going to use the tongs to set them down in there, or I could use a big slotted spoon to set them in the water so that the water doesn't splash all over me. You get your aerobics in when you do canning, y'all. I should have a very slender waist at this point. This is actually good for me because I have ankylosing spondylitis, which is where your spinal cord, the joints of your spine, the vertebrae fuse together. And so, with any type of arthritis, you want to move it or lose it. So you have to move to keep your joints working right. I think I can fit one more tomato. There. My pot is full. I'm going to let these sit for a couple of minutes. This one's actually pretty cool already. I'm going to start pulling this skin off, but before I pull the skin off, I'm going to cut out the core. If I can get my knife in there. Well, this one's being cantankerous. There we go. Got part of the core out. And my skin's already just falling off. I'm having ear problems today, y'all. I don't know what's going on. My ear is acting like I've got water in there, so I might have. Okay, and that is the bloom right there. I've cut it out. And there is my tomato. Okay, I'm just going to check these real quick. That one's ready. Okay, I got all but 3 of those out, and I'm going to let them sit for another minute or 2. I'm going old school and adding ice to my water bath. Okay, one other thing you need to make sure you have plenty of is ice. You can go and buy your ice, or you can do like I do, you make your ice. Or you can have a refrigerator that has an ice maker. You want to save up some ice because you don't know how much ice you're going to go through when you're doing this. And you do not want to be handling hot tomatoes. There's another one. I'm going to pull that skin off. Look how easy that skin came off this tomato. I've got a little bit of bloom right here on this end. I'm going to get that cut out. And that tomato can go in my bucket. Let me check these. Those 2 are not quite ready yet. Cut that bloom rod out. Cut my stem out. Another pretty tomato, y'all. Now, the bulk canning book and home preservation by the USDA will tell you not to use any bruised fruit or fruit that has any blemishes on it. I do my way. It's my house, my kitchen, my rules. And my mother and grandmother always used the fruit and the vegetables, even the blemished ones. Nothing went to waste. And who can afford to throw away tomatoes and other products just because it's got a little blemish on it? None of us really can afford that. Let me check these 2 tomatoes that are being stubborn and not wanting to split. That one did. Got one more in there that didn't split yet, so we're going to go on and do another tomato up. Go ahead and cut my bloom rod out of the top. Okay, got another good tomato. It's starting to split finally. Okay, we're going to get some more tomatoes over here into our hot water bath. I think I'm getting an earache, y'all. I hadn't had an earache in years. think that's about it. Maybe one or two more in here. Got a couple of small ones. One more. Okay. This is what I've cut so far, y'all. And I haven't chopped them up. I'm trying to clean out my bowl over here that I've got all my tomatoes waiting to go into the hot bath. And then we're going to pull out the food processor. We're going to get these pureed up. So tomorrow all we will have to do is to cook them down and get them jarred. When you have health problems like mine, sometimes you just have to slow it down a little bit to do what needs to be done, and that's what I have decided to do with all these tomatoes. Because I have done marathons in the past, but I was younger and didn't have all the health problems that I have now. So if you have health problems, consider slowing down. It doesn't have to be done in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. We have got some really nice tomatoes from the Amish. I thank God for them. I thank God that we can support their community by buying some of their fresh homegrown tomatoes and other vegetables and cantaloupe and stuff like that. And I may take some of these tomatoes and save some seed out of them. I may take a couple of tomatoes that I slice and save the seed. That way I can have organic tomato seeds next year and maybe do it a little bit better than what we've been doing. Even though some of my seeds said they were organic and heirloom and all that, I do believe that they are messing with our seeds. This is one that had that wormhole in it. I'm just going to check it here. Okay. There's nothing wrong inside the tomato. It was just a little spot on the outside. And that's all it was. I think I'm seeing some split. I'm paying so close attention, I forgot about y'all out there. These are hot and you want to pay attention to what you're doing so that you don't burn yourself. I think all of these lit on me, which is good because I've got a few more left in there that I need to do up. Alrighty. Get some more tomatoes in there. There's nothing like an hour of aerobics, y'all. I'm working my upper arms, my legs, my hips, my waist. I'm going to set these right here for right now. And get those rest of these tomatoes in this bath. I definitely got something going on with that ear because I've got ear pressure changes. I'm thinking I got water in my ear when I washed my hair. And the last tomato. Yay. Put that one over so it's in there. I'm going to rinse out my pan. And I'm going to slice my tomatoes. Get them sliced so I can fit them in the food processor and I can actually get more in the pan. And I can get this blue ribbon ice cream bucket out of the way. Y'all will notice that I've got towels underneath my cutting board. I have learned to do that so I don't have such a mess to clean up. But I'm getting all that juice off the cutting board mat and putting it in with my tomatoes. We are going to start checking these. I'm going to have to get some more ice and put on my tomatoes because at this point my bucket is overflowing. I don't work as fast as I used to work, and that is for sure. And I'm going to save my tomato water, and it's going to go out to the garden. The water that I have taken the skins off, and I'm going to water my garden with it. Some of the plants will get that water instead of pouring it down the drain. Okay, y'all, that is the first box of tomatoes. And I will be back when I have all my tomatoes done and we will start processing. Okay, y'all, I'm working on the second box and I'm not seeing as much of the bloom rot on this box of tomatoes. I did pull out about 8 tomatoes just so we can have some to slice up and eat during the week. My baby is being mouthy back there. Her needs to be hushy hushy. They got a treat a while ago, so they're going to be growling at each other. But this second box of tomatoes looks a lot better than the first box did. I got one there that's got a couple of little spots on it. But for the majority of them, see, that one's got a couple of little spots. The majority of them look really good. And I got a full pan plus 2 more quarts out of the tomatoes that I sliced that I peeled and did all that to earlier. And I'm hoping I get as many out of this box or close to it. Here's one of those Amish paste tomatoes, y'all. They are wonderful. The Amish are only charging $1.25 a pound for their tomatoes. You go to the farmer's market and it's $3 or $4 a pound. So if you can find an Amish community near your house, I would suggest you go. Check them out, give them some support and some love. Mind your manners while you're there. You know, husbands, don't stay behind and talk to the women. If your wife has left the room, you follow her. Men, you don't stay in a room with an Amish woman alone. It's just considered bad manners if you're not married to her. So you just, you know, mind your manners and you won't have any problems. They don't allow filming. They don't allow cameras. And we honor that when we go, so you won't see us taking any shots of their little farm stands or any of them because of their belief system. And it's called respect. The Amish community is really, really a tight community. They respect one another. And, you know, we have lost so much of that in our American society today, of being respectful. I'm going to dump this water, rinse my bowl out. And I have a mess over here, y'all, from the tomato juice, but it will all get cleaned up. I'm going to get some ice and get in there. It takes a lot of ice. So we make sure we have several sets of trays filled up. And I'll get those filled up. These are stuck together. Old school ice trays, y'all. Well, not real old school. The real old school were aluminum and had this pull mechanism in the middle of it. You had to make sure you ran it under water and then you pulled it to get your ice out. These plastic ones work really nice. I'll get those filled up when I'm done with this. We keep our ice trays in a separate refrigerator. We have a refrigerator that is for just for, pull the camera up, just for our eggs. It's a small refrigerator because we don't want our eggs tasting like food. You know how refrigerators will get that food taste? Especially when you put fruit and stuff in there like cantaloupe. And we're going to get these finished. And I will be back in a short. I don't want to overfill my pot, but we'll be back in a short. And I may take lunch before I come back, but we're going to get all of these crushed in our food processor and get the citric acid in them, or the lemon juice, whichever one you have on hand. I'll tell you how to do that. And then we're going to get them in the refrigerator so they don't go bad on me. And tomorrow we're going to start canning these, and I'm thinking I'm going to do a premiere event out of that one. So we will be doing a lot of canning. Are y'all ready to see how many tomatoes I got out of this? Are you ready? Now, I've been going since 9 o'clock this morning. It is now 2:03 in the afternoon. I just had my lunch. So I did a little intermittent fasting today. And I'm going to pan down tomatoes. I'm going to cover them back up because I don't want any flies on them. And these two pans back here are full of tomatoes, y'all. That's 3 full, probably about, I would say, at least 6 gallons. I'm guesstimating, y'all, now. I may be off, but we're going to find out. I've got my Ninja hooked up. This is the good processor. It has the rubber seal on it. And I'm going to start loading this. Make sure I didn't lose any behind my thing. I thought one fell behind. I'm using a puree setting to get these ground down. This is a 1 gallon ice cream bucket. I'm going to move that back. I got it in the wrong spot. Didn't want to go on there. Here we go. That's 8 cups. I'm not going to put any more in that. I don't think that is a true 1 gallon. But we're going to go ahead and cover it. get it out of the way and move on to the next one. I got my next clean bucket. And I have towels underneath my Ninja just in case I get liquids over here. I'm hoping I don't. Not too much anyway. And I'm loading my dishwasher. I'm loading my washing machine as I go because I know I'm going to have a lot of towels that need to be done. Get this towel out of the way. I'm almost done with that bucket. There we go. And I have a wet towel here just to keep my hands clean as I'm working through these. Now this mixer has measurements on the side and this says it's 5 cups. Hands cleaned up. This says it's another 5 cups. So that's 10 cups of tomatoes so far. And I've got some juice in here. I'm going to go ahead and pour that off in there. Waste not, want not. And I'm going to pull over my next pan. And we're going to get started on it. Might as well fill it up. Clean my mess up too. Close my lid. And I've got 6 cups in here, so that's 10 plus 6. That would be a full gallon. That's a full gallon there, y'all. Get a lid. And we're going to move this one out of the way. Okay. Turn my spill over here up. my bucket. I'm wiping my hands, y'all. This is messy work. It's in the lock position. Looks like I need to do a little more. There we go. And I got another 5 cups. I don't know how I made that mess. Probably when I picked up the bowl to move it. And I have another 5 cups. I need 6 more cups to go in that one. Tell you what, food processors have saved us a lot of time in the kitchen, ladies. I have another 5 cups in here. I'm going to need 1 more cup to fill this gallon up. I'm pulling out my last 1 gallon bucket, and we're going to have to figure out how we're going to do the rest of these up. This is about 5½ cups. I'm going to go ahead and start filling this one up. Oh, lost a tomato. Got the last of those tomatoes in there. So this will be 11½ cups in this one. And I'm going to pour the juice off and see how much juice I have. And we got right at 1 cup of juice that's going into that back one. And I'm going to get my other bucket down. Get a lid on this one. Move it out of the way. Last bucket, y'all. Okay, y'all, I'm using the Bog Complete Book of Home Preserving, and I'm going to be following the recipe tomorrow on page 357 for crushed tomatoes. And I would use per quart 2 tablespoons of lemon juice or a ½ teaspoon of citric acid in each of my jars, but I'm going to do this in bulk because I have, and I'm going to pan down, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gallons and 1 quart of tomatoes out of all those tomatoes, y'all. So I'm going to get my spoons, and since it would be a ½ teaspoon per quart, that would be 1 teaspoon for 2, so 2 teaspoons. Where's my teaspoon at? 2 teaspoons per container for that. And then for my quart, I would use a ½ teaspoon. Got a ½ teaspoon measure. And for these, I would use 1 teaspoon. And there's another teaspoon. So I would use 1 teaspoon for each of these, 2 teaspoons for each of these, 1½ teaspoon for the quart. I'm going to get that done. And then we're going to be done for today. And it is going on 3 o'clock, y'all. I got to get busy. Supper's got to be cooked tonight. I don't have a maid, I don't have a chef, and I certainly need someone to come in and clean my kitchen now. So this one's going to get a ½ teaspoon of citric acid. I'm just putting it on top. We're going to mix that. I'm going to get a plastic spoon out of the drawer. Better yet, I'm going to use a skewer, a wooden skewer, and I'm just going to stir this in the jar because it's not going to hurt it. And if I don't can all this, I can freeze it until I have enough tomatoes to can. So it's already got the citric acid in there, and I can put that one in the fridge. Now I'm going to move on to these, and it was 1 teaspoon per container. And I'm just going to do the same thing with the skewer since I already have it out. I was just going to mix that in. It's already reacting with the tomatoes. It's getting a little foamy on top. These 2 containers are 1/2 gallon. So go ahead and put this teaspoon in here. I'm going to close my bottle up until I'm ready to do the next ones. So I've got these mixed. I'm going to go ahead and get my plastic spoon out of the way because I'm not going to use it. And I'm going to go to the bigger 1 gallon bucket because I want it on the bottom. That's 1, 2, and stir. I don't need that spoon. We're going to stir it in. Just mix it in a little bit. This helps to preserve the color and everything, the citric acid. It's hard to believe these are the same size containers, y'all. They come out with so many shapes and sizes. Skewers work really good for debubbling also. And you don't have to wash them, you can just throw them away. Or put them in your wood pile and use it for a starter for your fires. Phew, I'm tired already, y'all, and I still got 2 gallons to go. Is it worth all this work? I often ask myself that, but of course when you go in a pantry that is full of already pre-canned canned goods that you know is good for your family, that doesn't have any GMOs or antibiotics or anything like that, that's all natural, to me it's worth the effort. And with the rise in food cost, it's definitely worth the effort. Last gallon, and I have a sticker on top of this because it was tomatoes for chow chow. I didn't take the sticker off. Okay, last gallon, we're going to put 2 teaspoons in this, and then all of these are going to go in my refrigerator until tomorrow. And then I'm going to start working on the canning. Get rid of those spoons. That. I'm just going to stir this really good. Give it one good stir in there. All right, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gallons and 1 quart. And I have a lot of tomato skins to do. These are a good size container. Of course, it doesn't say how much it holds, but I'm assuming that's 4 or 6 cups per container. And the last time I did 1 box, it took me 2 days, so this is probably going to take 4 days to dehydrate all of this. Unless I pull out my other dehydrator, which I may do. Well, I got to get it all put away. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around until the end. And y'all say a prayer for me tonight because I'm going to need all the prayers I can get to get through tomorrow. May you be fully blessed.